But I think the main things is at the end of the day, volleyball is volleyball. It's in the same 9x9 court, and the rules are the same. So we. Is that on the back of your shirt?
Yeah, it's on the back of your shirt.
Beauty. A little free shout out for you. And it doesn't matter who's on the other side of the net. You need to still execute to the best of your ability if you want a chance to win.
That's right, Brett Walsh. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 81 square meters of the best volleyball coverage on the internet. This is the 9x9. It is Tuesday, May 6th, episode 155. My name is Rob St. Clair, live in Chicago. That is Everett. That's right. That's Everett Delorme, live in Toronto. Your audio situation is a disaster, but we're going to get through it.
Bro, I ordered a new dongle online. It was supposed to arrive at my house yesterday. I got the notification that it arrived at my place. I was like, sweet, I was out. I'll pick it up when I get home. Get home. Nothing's there. I'm wondering. Then a little later, my neighbor came by and was like, hey, did you grab anything from my in front of my place? And I was like, no, I didn't. Did you grab something for me? Because usually you do that. And she was like, no. So we think that we got porch robbed, which is absolutely great. I love that. So now I'm going to go to Best Buy and buy a new one because I'm sick of this shit.
Well,
yeah, how's my auto sound now?
It's bad, but I think it's manageable. And then you got the light cutting your face in half from your window. It's really an elite setup over there.
This is classic though. This is what, this is classic volleyball source right here. This is classic 9x9 right here.
Volleyball is volleyball.
Volleyball is volleyball. Okay.
Volleyball is volleyball.
And it is what it is. But Rob, apart from that, we had simultaneously one of the biggest weekends of volleyball of the year and probably one of the most boring weekends of volleyball. Maybe not just of the year, maybe that I've seen ever.
100% correct.
I was so excited going into this weekend. I was so excited to watch some ball. I was like, oh my God, look at these matchups. This is going to be great. Champions League, SuperLega, PlusLiga, like finals galore.
Not good.
Only one team managed to win. Only one losing team managed to win one set.
Yeah,
dongs everywhere.
Dongs all over the place, and which enables us to not talk quite so much about the matches themselves, but more about the historical significance. And that's where we're going to start, because it is historically significant, ladies and gentlemen, and it is complete. It is official. 2024 to 2025, Imoco Conegliano is the greatest women's volleyball team of all time. They are the greatest of all time. They have won the CEV Champions League, their second in a row. They have completed the Infinity Gauntlet. Here it is with Daniele Santarelli saying "Sono inevitabile." Like this one?
I guarantee you. Like I like heard it in his voice too. Like I could see him like just standing in the locker room before the match, be like "Sono inevitabile,"
Sono inevitabile.
Like, just like quick shrug is like, if we take care of our side of the court, it's inevitable. We're the best team of all time.
And they are, and that is how this tournament felt this weekend with Imoco Conegliano, 3-1 over Malonza in the semis for their 16th win over them head-to-head in a row, and then an effortless, emphatic, practically perfect game of volleyball in a 3-dong over Scandici to win the tournament. Everett, I think we have to start with just acknowledging and putting out to the world that the debate is over. This is the greatest women's volleyball team of all time.
Yeah, I think it has to be for a number of factors. I mean, I know that they didn't go undefeated like the 2020-2021 Conegliano team. So there is that one caveat of a team that you could point to. However, that team didn't get to compete in the Club World Championships because it was right on the COVID season. And they didn't get to win that Infinity Gauntlet. Now, Rob, I know you've broken it down. There is one other team in the history of volleyball that has won the Infinity Gauntlet on the women's side. We're not gonna compare to the men's side. I think
no, we're not.
And that's Vakifbank in 17-18. But I agree with you. When you compare those two teams and you compare the roads that they had to do to get to the Champions League finals, especially. 100% give it to Conegliano. This Conegliano team, the 24-25 team, as the best team of all time.
Yep. Here are some numbers that are just ridiculous. Imoco this year, 5 trophies, obviously 53-1 match record on the season. That one loss to Novara in the league semifinals, which obviously didn't affect any of their ability to win any trophies. Conegliano lost 14 sets all season. They played 54 matches. They won 53 matches. They lost 14 sets all season. And of their 54 matches they played, 41 of them were 3-dong wins. That's completely insane. Compare this to 27 to 2018 Vakifbank. Vakifbank that year went 42-5 in matches. They lost 4 of their 5 matches that year to Zawiercie. They went 5 in the playoff series with them, even though they won all 5 trophies. They lost 32 sets that season compared to Conegliano's 14 this year. And they had 27 3-0 wins compared to Conegliano's 41 this year. So that's just insane. Also, Gabi Guimarães and Isabel Hack were on another Vakifbank team that also won the Infinity Gauntlet in 21 and 22. But that team also had a bit of a different season. And I don't think they should quite be considered as one of the greatest teams of all. Well, they're one of the greatest teams of all time, but this is it, man. This is it. This team right here.
Also, Zhu was on that 17-18 team.
She was, and that's right, she was. So Imoco assembled a team this year that was built flawlessly. They were built with players that had won at every level and coaches that had won at every level, and everything.
And not only have won, but like are some of
dominated.
These are some of the greatest players of all time. Like, it wouldn't be out of your mind to put like an all-time 6 to put Gabi and Zhu beside each other, right? That's not a ridiculous thing to say. At all. And then with the way that Hawk played this weekend, and the fact that she's done this now consistently with 2 different clubs, and consistently being a champion. I mean, like 21 points in that final. She absolutely dominated, right? With like Volleyball at the setter position, she's the best setter of this generation, at the very least in the conversation for one of the greatest all time. Moki's the best libero of all time, right? So like, what are we talking about here? Not to mention, when you look at the caliber of teams that these other teams are beating, right? It's a lot of those same players. Like, if you look at some of the rosters back from 17 and 18, we do not have the quality that we do now. Women's volleyball is at its height right now.
For sure.
There is the most talent we have ever seen right now, especially like when you look at the other teams around. The fact that like Ogonu is losing, Antropova is losing after the season she has. Like, we're not even going to talk about Vakifbank, but their roster is loaded, and even the teams down into the quarterfinals.
Fenerbahce didn't get there. They flamed out. It's Zawiercie, Tiana Boskovic. They flamed out. Like
when you compare the teams to what is now to what is then, right now is the best version, and they did it almost flawlessly, and dominated absolutely everyone. And playing the most efficient and boring version of volleyball ever. There's no way to say it.
A couple of the numbers from the final, like, we don't need to break down the matches in that much detail because they were so lopsided. But like, just to quantify a little bit of how incredible this Imoco Conegliano team was in the final, they hit 529 efficiency as a team. In the final of the biggest competition they played all year, they hit 529 efficiency as a team. All 3 of their wings hit 600 efficiency or better. Zhu, 647. Gabi, 615. Hawk, 600. Conegliano had 28 break points in 3 sets. Scandici had 8. Scandici earned 8 points in the entire championship match in 3 sets, which is completely insane. Like, there is no team, no matter what bodies you put together, no matter what you can put together, you cannot beat a team that plays that perfectly. It produces a boring match of volleyball to watch, but the historical significance cannot be understated. It's really just incredible. Like, 529 as a team in the biggest match of the year.
Yeah, they absolutely dominate. They absolutely dominate. That's just what they do. That's the style of volleyball they play. They execute with perfection, and they're so intimidating to play against. Right? Like, someone needs to give me a volley metrics for the women's side. I'm doing a serious call out right now. I need women's volley metrics, and then I need international men and women volley metrics, please and thank you. Okay. If you guys can if the the community at large can help me out with that, that would be great. I've already got an account. If we can just add it on, it'd be fantastic. Because I would love to do film breakdown of this Conegliano team. They're the best of all time. There's no other way to put it. They are amazing.
They're the best of all time, and there's so much in that film that could be broken down too, like the amount of control that Volleyball has with the ball in her hands. Hawk's high over the top, like 5'6" thumb down shot, which is just completely unstoppable. The speed and the space with which they use their left side hitters, it's really outrageous. A couple other like things that stick out to me here. How about the career renaissance of Zhu Ting, man? How about the career renaissance that she has had this year for Conegliano? After her wrist injury, after the pandemic. And, I don't know if anybody thought that she could come close to recapturing the level of volleyball that she played at in the mid 2010s, but like 647 in the final. And she was great in the semis as well. She deserves a huge amount of credit. It's been incredible to watch her rebound and get back to the elite of the game where she's been for so long. And then another thing, we talk about the four opposites that dominate women's volleyball right now, and Antropova knocking at the door on that and all of that. I have a tracker that I've been keeping up with that's linked in the video description right now. If you guys want to open that up and follow along, I've tracked every major women's volleyball competition since the 2018 VNL. So that's like right about when Hawk, Egonu, Boskovic, Vargas were all starting to play like real volleyball. Tracked every major tournament since then. Isabel Hawk now leads all those opposites all time in major titles. Isabel Hawk has 20 major titles, and that is compared to Paula Egonu's 18. And Hawk plays for Sweden. She has 0 international hardware. So she needs to be talked about very, very highly, if not the best player on the planet, one of them, certainly.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, she's always been in that big four. Like, unfortunately, when a sport like volleyball, we have to, we have to rely on the national team, right? Like the national team and the experience and the results that you have there. But there's no doubt about it that she is in that conversation. Her dominance now, just like some of the stats that are coming up that you've gotten that are coming up in the chat, are just absolutely unreal at what Hawk has been able to do in her time as a professional. Like, all she does is win.
Yep.
All she does is win, and she looks like the consummate professional. So, like it can't be understated how good she was. She dominated that final. And it wasn't even close. It was not even close. I mean, I did a watch along for it, and it was boring. Right? If you guys came to watch the watch along and watch me talk about the match, I talked about the match maybe 30% of the time. The first third of it was just me talking to Stephen Marr in the chat. Right? At one point, we were looking up VNL rosters. Like, the match was boring to watch.
Because Imoco is that good. They really are that good. So, not great entertainment caliber of volleyball this weekend, but boy, is it impressive what they have done. And another thing that is not at all debatable, Everett, is that the Lega Volley Femminile is the best women's volleyball league on the planet. It's not close. The Turkish teams flame out in European competition is pretty well documented. We went through all of them except for Vakifbank a few weeks ago. Now Vakifbank goes at home and fails to win a game, and they take fourth. Top 3 teams in all of Europe are all Italian. CEV Cup and Challenge Cup champions, both Italian. It's not a conversation. It's not debatable. The Lega Volley Femminile is on top of the planet, and they deserve to be. They have produced the best volleyball talent in the last, certainly post-pandemic.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, what can you say? Just utter domination by the Lega Volley Femminile. And I just want to see other teams and other clubs like step up. I think that this weekend in general, there's 2 sides of the coin for this weekend for me, Rob. The one side is the absolute dominance and excellence put on display from Conegliano. We just broke it down. The other side is just the utter incompetence by the rest of the volleyball world, right? First and foremost, we've talked about it before, but the other clubs, complete inability to even touch them, to even come close to them. They've dominated now for, this decade for sure. And considering when you look at like their entire starting lineup is coming back.
Yep.
Their entire starting lineup is coming back. So they can
They're
run
gonna do it again.
They're going to be able to run it back again. But then the other side of it is just the lack of everything that we saw from this weekend. And just how it didn't feel like a Champions League final. It was empty in there. There was no vibe. There was just no production value. There was a lot of things wrong and not even mediocre, but just bad all around about this Final Four. There's no way to go about it and say it. I have said for a long time that Turkey is one of the best hosts we have, and it was a massive swing and a miss on this one.
Big swing and a miss.
An absolute wolf on this one. This one should have been knocked out of the park. And I understand it's hard when you have an Italian team running against an Italian team in the finals, but bro, even the Volleyball match lacked any type of emotion, any type of atmosphere.
What was it? I think 13,000 capacity in that arena. I think it's Fenerbahce's basketball arena, and there was never more than 5,000 people there. Just felt empty, felt dead. There were like obvious failures in the organizational side, like misspelling Scandici's name on signage and like announcing the wrong team name when they went up to the podium to award them. Like they called Scandici Milano, even though they had just awarded Milano the bronze. So that was really stupid. No energy at all. I thought the broadcasts were okay because they threw a bunch of extra graphic resources at it, and they had Louis Lett on the mic there in person, which is a step up. But I thought, like, especially like with some of the pregame stuff he was doing, like if you tuned in early to the match, like I thought that kind of stuff was good. But at the same time, they had Louis there on his own. He didn't have another expert. Like, that's really tough to be able to do, especially for a final. Like, what are we doing out here? It was really underwhelming, really underwhelming. And so many, like, there wasn't one part that I was like, that was well done, except for Conegliano just dummying it. Yeah, except Conegliano is the only people who get any credit from this weekend. Yeah, I agree with that. The Turkish Federation, I don't know who all is in charge of what, but just the way that this event came across did not feel like the culmination and celebration of the women's volleyball season that it should have been. Obviously, the volleyball matches were not that good. That doesn't help, but there's so much more that needed to be done here from the media side. Way more needed to be done here. The dream team being voted on by the fans before the Final Four even started is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. Marina Lubian, who didn't even play in the final, being on here. Three Malonza players who finished third. 0 Scandici players who finished second. The coach of the team that went 0-2. At least they got the MVP right in Isabel Hawk, because that was voted on by people on site after Conegliano won. But like this is a great microcosm of how Bush League this event felt. So bad. That in itself is just because someone in the CEV office was like, let's just do it now. It'll just be easier. It'll just be easier, right? Which what are we doing? is absolutely wild. This dream team is like officially named and will go down and like will be referenced by people decades down the line of like, oh, she was on the dream team in the Champions League final in 2025. It was voted on by the fans before the Final Four even started. Volleyball is volleyball, man. It's volleyball is volleyball. Volleyball is volleyball. God, what are we doing? Conegliano, all the credit to them. They're the only ones who deserve it, like you said. Everything else about this event and just about the way that it felt and was presented, and it just didn't feel right. And that, I think, leads Everett into another piece of news that came out of this weekend. There were some meetings. There was some meetings. There were some meetings. Yeah. There were some meetings this weekend in Istanbul, and a group of elite European women's club teams have come together and announced their presence as the WEVCA, the Women's European Volleyball Club Association. Several of these teams were in Istanbul, like had representatives there, several like called in via Zoom or whatever. You got all 5 big Turkish teams. So like Fenerbahce, Vakıfbank, and Zawiercie, Galatasaray, THY. You got 2 teams from Poland in Rzeszów and Budowlani Łódź. You You got 2 teams from France in Mulhouse and Le Canet. And then right now you only have Scandici and Malonza from Italy. They say that Novara and Conegliano are pending, which, I mean, I don't think this association has any substance if Conegliano is not a part of it. But to me, and I don't know, they didn't say very much about what the details of what it is that they're really trying to accomplish. But maybe, Everett, it's these programs coming together and saying, like, the CEV and our governing bodies can't really do anything for us that needs to be done. We might as well come together and do it ourselves. That's kind of what it feels like to me.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Reading the article, it looked like they wanted to be able to work together with the CEV and the FIVB to bring changes to the schedule, aiming to after LA, which is good. You're establishing kind of like a long-term thing, which I think is good. I am worried about this though, Rob. I really am. If you're at all familiar with European sports, which we all know you're not, this is a format that we've seen elsewhere, right? More recently, we saw it try to be implemented within like football, soccer, in the form of the Super League, and bringing in some of the key teams from Spain and Italy, and of course the English League, and bring them all together, the marquee teams, as opposed to having something like the Champions League. And it's actually what we see in basketball with the Euro League, because the Euro League is essentially a set teams with like a few wild card teams that can come in and out. This really worries me, because I think that if this goes through in terms of like this, if they make this collection of the best teams, they have the ability to just go, hey, we're going to go do our own competition, go do our own thing. And it's really going to create a scenario of the have and have nots.
Yep.
And I don't know if that's good for the long-term growth of the game. However, I completely agree in the fact that something needs to be done, and the current system isn't working. Right. And what we have here in place isn't working. Now, we've talked about it here before, having a tiered system where, maybe there's some smaller teams, and you're bringing in just like all of the best teams in Italy and Turkey and the other stragglers that can compete at that level, and just bring all the competitions within one. Everything that we have right now is just based off the soccer system anyways, like the 3-tiered system with the 3 different leagues. It's just like the Champions League and the Europa League and whatever the third one is, right? Just in terms of the format of how it is, let's go ahead and do something that makes sense for us. And ultimately, that's what I hope, like the what is it? WEVCA. Got to learn that one now too, because there's so many friggin' fucking acronyms. WEVCA is going to do. I hope that's they push for. Here's my hope. They push for like a reformatting of the CEV Champions League, where they should absolutely just play each other in some way, but there has to be the ability for other teams to come in,
Play up and play
all,
in, yeah, for sure.
All within the same competition, but also to make it more of a realistic schedule between club season and professional season. I think right now, what I'm really hoping that this is the club teams realizing, hey, our athletes want to play national team, right? Especially like if you look at some of the rosters that have been released, like the Italian women's and men's rosters were released today, chock full. Oro, Agonu, Antropova, like it's their teams. Micheletto, Gianelli, it is their full teams. So as the only way for volleyball to get bigger is for club volleyball to get bigger, and there needs to be a realization from the bigger governing bodies and to help out to build club volleyball.
I totally agree with that. I think it would be bad if this collection of women's volleyball teams split and did their own thing. That would be bad. I think it could be good that this group of women's volleyball teams could threaten that they can leave and do their own thing. I think there being a balance of power between the clubs and the governing bodies is something that doesn't really exist in volleyball very many places. There's no, like, there really just about everywhere there is exactly one entity that makes the decisions, and there's not very much communication or collaboration or feedback or whatever. And you and I, Everett, know that very well in many different ways. But just these two teams coming together to work together will hopefully force the governing bodies, the FIVB and the CEV, to think about the teams, think about the athletes, do what's in the best interest of everyone. And hopefully that produces better volleyball down the road. But like you said, I did read that they're targeting change after the LA Olympics. So we're probably not going to hear a whole lot of direct action from this anytime soon.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And one other thing to talk about too, just about Champions League, is that they did announce that for next year, instead of having, I think, like the teams compete for it, it's basically going to be a wild card. Apparently, one of those wild cards has already been determined, and that's Zerenspor from Turkey. And allegedly, they paid 5 million euros to be able to get this spot, Rob. So, and that looks like 3,250,000 euros to buy the wild card spot, and then a 1,750,000 sponsorship from a sponsor within the Zaren group for next year's Final Four.
Wow. That's I did hear that this week. That is an insane amount of money in volleyball. I think there's been some questionable reports of where that money is coming from that some people are upset about. I don't know the details, but man, I on one hand, money in volleyball is a good thing, and if a team values a Champions League spot at the cost of 5 million euro, like nobody in volleyball can afford not to take that offer.
No, absolutely not. Like at 5 million euro, like the CEV is frothing.
They have to be. They have
so
to
be. Hopefully they actually put on a good show next year, because they have to after this year, or else this is going to lose all of its luster.
Yeah, I don't want the Champions League to feel like it isn't as prestigious as we know it to be, and that feel definitely didn't come across this weekend. But like the result of Conegliano doing what they did, just to tie it all together, is historic, and they are the greatest women's volleyball team of all time. And I think of all the takeaways from this weekend and kind of from this women's volleyball season, that's the one. It was boring to watch each individual match, but the whole body of work, we just got to appreciate the greatness of that franchise put together.
Completely. Absolutely.
All right. That's it for European women's volleyball this year. That is it. We have the PVF playoffs on the women's side in the States that we'll talk about later on in the show. Is there anything else about CEV or European women's, Everett, or anything else that you want to touch on before we flip over to the men's?
There is one comment though. Jill in the JYL, probably not Jill, in the comments is saying, hopefully this gets rid of the stupid Club World Championships. I think the Club World Championships, especially on the women's side, actually has some potential of being pretty good.
I agree.
Of actually doing something too, because if you're looking at the rise of like women's volleyball in the United States, right? We saw that Omaha made a bid to host the next year's Club World Championships,
which I really hope that works out.
Let's give Omaha, because I mean they're going to probably they finished number 1 in the regular season of the PVS, so let's give them a spot. Let's give a League One team a spot. Let's give like the best team from Japan and stuff like that. Like it's wild that the AVC Champions League happens during the Japanese playoffs, so like the Japanese teams don't play. I'm pretty sure that's kind of what happened in this one. But yeah,
Asia needs to figure it out for club, man. They need to figure it out. They have just no clue on how to schedule or nominate a continental champion that can ever be competitive. They schedule their events in times that don't make sense, and then the men will like throw huge amounts of money at random European dudes to play for 2 weeks. Like apparently Leon's making like $150,000 to go play for 2 weeks for Shanghai or something. Like Asian club, figure it out. That was where I wanted to go with that.
Yeah, for sure. But
this event could be good. It just needs to be reformatted and reprioritized, and like understand where it fits in the scheme of everything else, instead of another example of the governing body that creating it with no feedback or interaction or collaboration with anybody else.
Yeah, 100%. You're absolutely right.
It counts for the Infinity Gauntlet, and that's what sono inevitabile. That's what Suntory's gonna wear all off season. Hopefully you know what, Everett, if we see Suntory for Turkey this summer, I don't know if we will. If we see him, we need to get him like a fake toy Infinity Gauntlet and give it to him. I think he deserves that. Kind of like we gave Micheletto a unicorn stuffed animal.
Yeah. I think we can make that happen. That sounds like fun.
I think we can make that happen. I think we might need to give Suntory one of these. If any of you Turkish people are going to see the Turkish national team in any games, We might send you some money to go buy an Infinity Gauntlet and give it to Suntory. That'd be pretty funny.
That'd be dope.
All right. As a method of segueing to the men's side, two things to talk about. The first is where's Daddy? We got to talk about Daddy Stankovic like we do every show because he's hidden somewhere. Y'all got to try and find where I have photoshopped Daddy Stankovic in this show as part of the Where's Daddy segment. And if you do so, you will get a shout out, at least a shout out on the following week's show, maybe pending some extra bonuses. I'll leave that up to Everett, but make sure you keep an eye out for where Daddy is and comment the timestamp of where he shows up in the main YouTube comment section after the show is over. Don't do it in the live chat. Several people found no cheating.
Yeah.
Several people found him last week as one of the JTech Stings who had just qualified for the SV League finals. If you want to zoom in a little bit, I put him on Masahiro Sakita, who's quite a bit shorter than Daddy Stankovic is in actuality. So several people found this one. LKAHD says Daddy is the third foreigner spot. We had a bunch of people. Let's see, I'm swimming through all of our NCAA comments from last year or from last episode. Our friend Devin says when Daddy destroyed Yuji Nishida after JTech beat Osaka last week. So that was a pretty good one. So yeah, keep an eye out for Daddy Stankovic and grab that timestamp and comment it in the mains after the stream is over. That's where you put it to get credit for your victory. And Everett, I think we have another announcement, and that's a resurrection. We're back from the dead.
That's it. If you guys head over to thatvolleyballstore.com, use the code
Back
SPICE
from the
50% off. You can get some of our merch. You can get some of our gear.
Is it spicy or spicy 15?
Spicy.
It's spicy.
Spicy.
Okay, great.
It's spicy. Yeah. Yeah.
We are back. Many of you have asked about it. It's just in time for national team season. Thatvolleyballstore.com is back. The link is active. You can use that.
Also, I will say that if you like what you see on there now, get it, because there's going to be some changes, right? It's going to be going through some changes. So if you like what you see, go get it now.
Well said. Do you want to talk about any bonuses, or are we going to save that for our next show?
We're going to save that for our next show because nothing's set up yet.
Great. Well, there is a code now for all of you loyal viewers of the 9x9. It's spicy. Make sure you get some gear. Make sure you wear it to all your volleyball events this summer, including us, Everett. I need to re-up on some 9x9 gear to wear to VNL and stuff like that. So it's good to see that the site is back live.
In due time. That there's other things that I got to happen first.
Right, of course. So with all that out of the way, it's time to jump over to the men's side. Everett, I first of all, I want to commend you for some level of curse that you have put on all the volleyball in the world the last couple of weeks. Because every single watch along that you have done on this very YouTube channel has resulted in a 3-dong. Every one of them. And that includes both of the first two matches of the PlusLiga final. Lublin leads Aleron Zawiercie 6-0 in sets, 2-0 in matches, and we're on the verge of history, which could be made tomorrow if Zawiercie doesn't figure it out in a huge way. We got a lot to talk about in this series. Where do you want to start?
I mean, this one is really interesting just because of Zawiercie limping into this fight.
Oh, it's
right.
rough.
There's so many question marks about this team and what they can do. Losing Russell the way they have, losing Buchanan the way they have, like it's just hasn't been great. And on the other side of the net, you have a Lublin team that has been absolutely outstanding. Both Savitsky and Leon are hitting above 50 or 500% efficiency so far in this series. They have been absolutely unreal. And this Lublin team, who I thought coming out of I wasn't even sure if they were going to win their quarterfinal against Zaksa. And I thought they had no chance, especially in the way that they closed out the season against Yashemsky, especially the way that they played them in the semifinals of the Cup. I didn't think they had any chance of getting back by Yashemsky. And here they are, one match away from their first ever PlusLiga title. It has been absolutely incredible to watch and heartbreaking to watch on the Zawiercie side because, you know, it's kind of like they broke their sword and they're trying to do the best that they can, but Lublin is just outmatched for them right now.
Yeah, Lublin deserves a lot of credit. They've played extremely clean, like efficient, tactically sound volleyball, which was which against great competition wasn't a thing that you or I ever were super sure that they could do or that they could sustain, but they have. And Mikołaj Sawicki is the guy that jumps out to me. I mean, the match number 1, 15 for 23, 3 aces, 2 blocks, 20 points total on 56% efficiency. Like, the role players on Lublin are playing their best volleyball of the season at the absolute right time. That's what I think the thing that I wasn't convinced by the back half of the regular season. But Sawicki, Sasak, we like the middles. Komenda has set great games, and then Leon, when necessary, has put the team on his back, and he and the team are one match away from all-time history and all-time legacy cementing achievement for Leon himself, and he has 100%. Been awesome. He has been awesome.
He has been the GOAT.
The
right?
guy.
And like this is really, to me, if they close it out tomorrow, especially, like, this is legacy affirming.
Oh yeah.
First and foremost, he's going to be the first player to win in Russia, Italy, and in Poland, right? Sokolov managed Russia, Italy, and Turkey, right? But that's not Russia, Italy, and Poland, especially when you're looking at Poland and what it is now, arguably one of the best leagues in the world. But what's more impressive is that, you know, when you look at it, in Russia, he was on, you know, a Conegliano men's team.
Yep.
Essentially. That's the way to put it. That's the one team that, if you could actually compare Conegliano to, you have to put it against that Zenit Kazan team. But you're looking at a team where he's playing alongside friggin'
Mikołaj Sawicki, Kevin Sasak, like
no. Who's on that Zenit Kazan team? Matt Anderson, and who's the
Maxim Mikhailov.
Maxim Mikhailov, yeah. And then last year, when he's playing with Perugia, right, he's coming off the bench. Now, you may not remember that when you look at stats from last year's run, even though Leon only started, he didn't even start any of the matches. He came off in 2 matches. One of them, he got 25 points. It was the first loss against Monza, or 24 points. And in the clinching match, he got 25 off the bench. But even though he had a bench role, he's still, like, he had 32 points, and Semeniuk, who started all of the sets, had 34, and Leon had a better hitting percentage and a much better efficiency than Semeniuk and Plotnitsky, who started those matches. But, you know, against Kazan, with Kazan, he was amongst all-stars, even though he was the guy. At Perugia, he was coming off the bench, even though that he made massive impacts. And if you look at what Perugia was able to do without him this year, they've got the exact same team. You bring in Ishikawa, they couldn't even get past the semifinals. But now, in this one, there is no doubt whose team this is. There's no doubt who the all-star is. There is no doubt who the guy is. So he not only did, like, he went in and he was like, you know what? You guys can win without me. Perfect. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to win my first PlusLiga with a team that no one expected to, with a bunch of fucking leftovers, and you guys can't even make it to the final. Suck it, Cersei.
This is very much like LeBron James winning a title with the Cleveland Cavaliers. If
100%.
If Lublin goes on to do this, and they will have 3 chances, one of them at home in match number 4, if it gets there. If Lublin goes on to do this, it should be talked about in the same way as LeBron James winning a title with Cleveland. Like, it's that significant. He's that much of the guy, and it's that much of a Cinderella story for this team in their 4th season in the PlusLiga ever to be 1 match away from a title. It really is insane. But the team that they're playing against it has to be talked about, man. Zawiercie is just a shell of themselves. Yeah. They were breaking their sword to get there. Everett, like you said earlier, is the perfect way to talk about this Zawiercie team right now. I mean, match number 1, I wouldn't even say they were that bad. They just didn't. No. They didn't recapture, like, so. It's really amazing how fragile this team actually was. They were 1 Polish injury away from being screwed, and Patrick Waba and Kyle Ensing have gotten and deserved a lot of credit for getting Zawiercie here. That magic has not carried over to the final. It wasn't good enough across the board. Match number 1. After match number 1, they then go out and get George Grozer, which was astonishing. A truly astonishing move, because Grozer's only eligible for the PlusLiga. He's not eligible for Champions League. This was an emergency, help us recover in the PlusLiga right now. Then they go back in match number 2, and they do all sorts of floundering nonsense to try and get around the foreigner limit, and it gets much worse.
Much worse. Yeah. It to me in match number one, I found like I thought Waba did a not bad job, and they played together as a team. I thought Ensing was serviceable as well. Like he didn't do terrible. And you were able to at least compete. You know, Zawiercie, like if Zawiercie doesn't have an absolute gangbuster of a match there, this match is actually pretty competitive.
Yeah,
right.
21, 22, 21, not bad at all.
Yeah. But in match number two, I think the big thing that really sewered them was bringing in Grigorovich as the backup libero instead of Luke Perry. So instead of having your foreigner libero who's really solidified the serve receive there, you brought in Grigorovich. And man, we've seen some backup liberos come in and do really well, namely like Soto for Lube and Jurczyk for Yashemsky. Grigorovich is the worst of them, and the worst is that he's like 30 years old too. He is not a young buck, and the dude was an absolute ping pong paddle out there. 16% positive, 8% perfect. Only made 5 digs on the day. So yeah, like that to me was the biggest issue with what Zawiercie was trying to do, is the fact that they just had an absolute black hole for a serve receiver. And Lublin is a really, really good serving team. Yep. They're a low-key, really good serving team. Leon, the best serve in the league. Zawiercie bombs. Sasek doesn't necessarily bomb, but he knows how to pick his spots. And you have two middles who, like, Grozanov is sneaky good with the changeup that he can do, and McCarthy is a fan. Like as a pair, neither of them are as good a servers as Bieniek, but I think they're better than I actually know Glatter can come up with some pretty good stuff, but like they're really good as serving middles. So you're having consistent pressure from them from the baseline. They weren't making a lot of serving errors either. Was Lublin only 10 serving errors in the second match, so that's pretty minimal when you're looking at talking about men's volleyball. And 8 aces to go with that. They were just absolutely bombing them. And Zawiercie never had
two aces, yeah. 15 errors. I mean that disparity, that's kind of the match right there. And then you're just throwing every different combination of lineup that you can out there on the floor that happens to include 3 Polish guys, and they just can't find a solution. So yeah. what we know for sure is that Karl Butryn is out for the rest of the PlusLiga season. If he's able to play in the Champions League, he will be eligible to do so. Grozer is active. He can play for Zawiercie for the rest of the PlusLiga, but he is not eligible to play Champions League next weekend for Zawiercie. They're going to have to figure something else out, but they don't have foreigner limits over there, so we'll see what happens. But like, what's the solution to you? If you're Zawiercie right now, what position do you sacrifice for like a downgrade of a Polish player? Is it like, do you bench Aaron Russell for Waba, or do you bench?
So like, I think step one is you like step one for me is throw a Hail Mary. You're down 0-2 in the series. You're not getting in Butryn. You gotta put everything behind Grozer.
I agree with that.
So that's why I would take off Aaron Russell. I would let Waba be in there to basically be a second libero. I want him to pass the ball. I want him to play defense, and I want to utilize the middles way more and to be able to release stuff to Grozer, right? I want to play it really fast to Krolek on the outside. I'm going to limit the balls I'm going to give to Waba. If I'm going to give it to out of system, I'm putting it high off the net so he can just take a chew on it. If it's in system, he's getting it fast and only in a situation where I know that middle is biting on something else. And then I'm going to just let Grozer cook, because Grozer can't come off the bench. He needs to be the guy from the beginning. And I think that, like, also you need to have Luke Perry in there. Like, you need to have the stability of your serve receive, because where Zawiercie is better than Lubin, and where they're not taking advantage right now is the middle, right? If they can use Glatter, and even if they bring in like Zanisho, is Zanisho? How do you say that?
Zanisho. Yeah, you're close.
Zanisho, okay,
that's fine.
Even if they bring him in, I still think that he is more available. So you need to really solidify the serve receive. 23% positive, 9% perfect is just not good enough in the finals. And I think you need to like even that we saw like Aaron Russell. I don't think he can carry the team on his back the way that Grozer can if he gets hot, right? Zawiercie's playing it at home. right? Yeah, Zawiercie's playing at home. They're gonna have their faithful. You need Bieniek, you need your emotional guys, Glader and Bieniek, to be your emotional guys and to be the rocks on the team. So you need to give them volume. So you need to get good passers on the court.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I think you're right. Grozer is not a guy to come off the bench now. Like he got to Poland like a day, maybe a day and a half before match number 2. So like that whole situation is just really, really difficult. It's going to be hard to throw a guy in there right away. But I agree that tomorrow you start Grozer and it's a Hail Mary that you have to attempt. Then this series just really proves the value of a truly great libero, which Luke Perry is, and of a really good setter, which Miguel Tavares is, because you certainly can't afford to take him off the floor. But I guess it's kind of a lesson in roster building that it gets fragile if you're so dependent on a couple domestic players, and if one gets hurt, then the whole thing falls apart.
Yeah, but I also just think it is the reality of building rosters in the PlusLiga.
Definitely.
And I think that's
if anybody loses a great Polish player, then they're screwed. Yeah,
right. And like you can go either you go with the Jastrzębski and Zawiercie path where you have quality all around, but you don't necessarily have that much depth, or you go to the Warszawa path where you have maybe a little less quality everywhere, but you have way more depth. And I mean, Warszawa's up 2-0 in the bronze medal series over Jastrzębski right now too. So that's going to be interesting. We may not have JW in the Champions League next year.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, the little that we know about JW's roster next year, I wouldn't say it's necessarily Champions League caliber. I mean, they're losing Fornal, they're losing Huber, they're losing a lot of the guys that have gotten them there. So maybe that wouldn't be the worst thing. But yeah, Warszawa is one match away from winning that series and taking the Champions League spot. How do you see the rest of this going, Everett? In the final, match number 3 is tomorrow in Zawiercie. Do you think Zawiercie extends this series?
I mean, I'd like to see them extend this series. I truly think it's going to come down to Wilfredo Leon. I think if like Lublin all of a sudden is in a position that maybe only they, and I say this maybe that they thought they could be in, right? And like it's so crazy to think that like where they started the season. I know they started fantastically on that run, and I was even saying like back then Dev pulled out that great clip and he posted it in the Discord of being like imagine if Leon was able to win. So I'm calling that as my call, by the way. I'm taking that.
You don't get credit for that.
Fuck yeah, dude. Absolutely. It's on tape, bro. It is on tape. You're just upset because your early season pick is down 0-2 right now.
Yes, I am upset about that. And I think that Zawiercie is going to win game 3. I think that this Lublin's best chance to win this title is going to be in game 4 at home. I think Zawiercie now has had enough time to figure out the Grozer acquisition that I think he starts. I think he plays well. By the way, there are people talking about maybe moving Aaron Russell to the right side. No chance. There's no way you brought in Grozer, a true opposite, to play.
That's it. Like if you're bringing in Grozer the way that he is, he's not there to sit on the. He's not there to sit on the bench. Yep. I fully understand why you have to give Ensing the start based off how he played in game 3 of the semifinals, and I think he actually played pretty well in game number 1. But then he went out there and went 0 for 7 with a negative efficiency in set number 1. So you knew Grozer had to come in, right? Sucks for Ensing. That was an opportunity for him, right? Like we talked about it. I don't know if it was last week or the week before that was an opportunity for him to go in and make an impact in the finals, because we saw Gabby Garcia get that chance in his first, not at start, but played the majority of that first match against Lube, and he was able to get the dub and put up numbers in the second match too. So like there's going to be a tight race over there for the opposite and the Team USA, and it wasn't a good look for Ensing in this matchup.
No, but I hope that his performance in the semifinal that got them to this point is remembered. And I do kind of feel bad for Kyle. If Grozer comes in and is the hero, I hope that Ensing's contribution to this whole path for Zawiercie isn't lost. But you can't go 0 for 7 to start a match and start a finals match and expect to keep your spot on court. Definitely not. And yes, Yuri Glatter is Polish according to the federation.
Yes.
That's been the case for a very long time. So
Long time, yeah.
long time. So they have both Polish middles. They have Kfolek as a Polish left side. They need one more full-time Polish player. Has to be the opposite, another left side, and it's not going to be the setter or a libero, as I think we learned from match number 2. So I do like Zawiercie tomorrow, but then back home in Lublin in match number 4, that's the one.
It needs to be a Grosjean show. And I'm sorry to say it, but we tried the other way. Like we tried keeping Ensing on the court, and it was an absolute disaster for Zawiercie. So you need to just chuck up high balls for Grosjean, and that's why I think you need Waba on.
Yep, I agree. All right, you already brought up Warszawa over JSW. Both of those, the next matches in both of those series are tomorrow. Warszawa JSW is at 11:30 Eastern. Lublin Zawiercie at 2:30 Eastern PM tomorrow. That will be an enormous game. Enormous game. Must watch, obviously. What else will be must watch is we move over to the SuperLega here. We've got 2 matches to catch up on. Everett, you did watch-alongs for both of them. Dongs across the board for all the home teams so far.
So yeah, it really sucked.
3 dong over the weekend, or I guess this was last week at Lube. 3 dong over the weekend in Trentino. Trentino leads the series 2-1. It goes back to Cividinova Marche tomorrow, also 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Everett, you've watched more film than I have about this series. You did the film breakdown on the channel the other day. What are some things, like some technical volleyball things, that you've learned about why this series has been so back and forth?
Well, I mean, I think in this series, when you look at it, it's honestly less technical volleyball things that is making it so. Like it's less about matchups. Like when I've done video, like when I was doing video for the Perugia versus Lube series, it was really technical. It was really tactical. It was really about matchups. I think this one has come down a lot to execution. In match number 1, there was no doubt about it that Lube was tired. So match number 1, you have a tired Lube. That's going to do something. In match number 2, it was really all just about Lube turning it up, turning on their serving, and then Micheletto on the other side just having an awful day of it as well, just like not being his normal self out there, and just not really getting much help. Like the fact that you had Gabby Garcia Fernandez leading them in points with 12 points just shows you everything. And of course, Lube's serving, everything to me in this series has stemmed from Lube's serving.
Totally
Lube's serving in match number 2 where they won. Outstanding. 10 aces for 17 errors. If you look at the other side of the net, Trentino passing 33% positive and 14% perfect. Whereas in match number 2, 4 aces to 13 errors, and then still not great passing, just minorly better for Trentino, 14% positive and 35% perfect. And I think that the differences between match number 1 match number 2 and match number 3. Match number 1 is going to be a write-off just because.
Yeah. Agreed.
Match number 2, they were able to consistently get Trentino off of their system. And if you watched my breakdown of everything yesterday in the film review, you'll see that in any good ball situation, and Trentino is really good at executing at a really high level. Their offense, when it's in system, which is pretty decently often with what Spertoli can do with them, they have 4 options coming at you at all time, and they're really going to spread it out. It's really hard to stop them when you've got them going. And the only times that Lube is able to do that is when they have success from the baseline. Botolo was not good serving in this one. Same thing with Legumja. I don't think that he was great. And like, I do focus a lot on Legumja. His blocking really wasn't a focus, but his hitting was. I think he's just really one-dimensional. Like, I'm sorry to say, but I just, they're doing a lot to be able to get him some good looks. And yeah, I just need to see a better serving performance from Lube in match number 4, and that's going to be able to open everything up for them. And they are playing at home, where historically they've been really, really good.
They've been awesome at home, and you're absolutely right. This whole thing comes down to the baseline. I mean, Lube doesn't make that comeback against Perugia down 0-2 in the semis without some of the greatest serving we've really ever seen. Like, they were ridiculously good down the stretch in that series. Your home gym is the best place to serve, obviously. So that's a big one. Another thing I've been interested in, and you talked about this a little bit in the film breakdown, is the return of Fabio Balasso. Somebody just asked in the chat, like, why was he not wearing the libero jersey late in the last series? It's because he was injured. He hurt one of his, I think it was his thumb. I don't remember which finger exactly. Hurt a finger badly, couldn't really play, played limited, and now is back in the starting libero jersey. You were talking about on the film breakdown, like he's playing a lot of defense in position six in middle back, and just using like just kind of what you're good at and what you have. I think the injury is a decent amount of the reason why he's back there. You use his ability to chase down, be fast, read the game off the block touch, but he is much less likely in position 6 to have to react really quickly and make an overhead play. I think
yes and no. I think that maybe it's more hard driven stuff because like especially in 6 back, like you're always playing stuff above your head, and also Balasso, like I showed it a few times in the breakdown, he charges the seam so much. Right, like he charges the seam and he gets in there, and his vision is so good that he has the ability to do that.
I like it. I like liberos in position 6 for the record. I think it makes sense.
Yeah,
that you are much more likely to make a play on defense in that spot because guys are, especially out of system, because guys are hitting high hands so much in modern volleyball that you have to have the best guy back there to be able to chase down all those balls. And the fearlessness of charging the seam and trying to get underneath the ball. Like the platform play, I don't think is putting his finger at that much risk. So I think that's just maybe a layer that's part of it. It is good to see him back because another thing, like you said, comparing to Balasso to Lorenzano and just the amount of control and command and just the effect that he has on the entire team around him is really, really noticeable.
Lorenzano was the worst player for Trentino in match number 3. There's no doubt about it. Look at his passing numbers. They're 14% positive, 7% perfect. He was the worst passer on the team. They should have gone after him some more. To be honest, and maybe then because like look, fucking Trentino hit 61% in this match. They made no unforced errors, only got blocked 4 times.
Phenomenally clean for the reception not being that good. It's amazing.
Rich Licky was 14 for 19. Micheletto was 10 for 18 with 0 errors. He had a 56% efficiency. Like it was just systematic across the board from Lube. And you know what? In Lube has done a really, really good job this entire tournament at identifying what needs to happen and where the weak point is. And it's disappointing that they weren't able to do that with Lorenzano in this one, because like if you look at those passing numbers, like he was, and undoubtedly, like I talked about it time and time again, he was constantly passing up behind the attack line and he was getting aced quite a bit. So yeah, I would go after Lorenzano way more if I was Lube.
I agree with that. Lorenzano is clearly a better defender than he is a receiver, and he's just not making quite the number of defensive plays to like counter for his reception deficiencies. But again, like you said, the offensive numbers for Trentino in match 3, it doesn't matter how you pass the ball. If you hit 42 for 69 as a team, blocked 4 times, 0 errors, like you said, it's completely ridiculous. I think obviously Rikliski was automatic, but Spertoli deserves a lot of credit as well for putting the team in such consistently fantastic positions.
Like I broke it when I was breaking it down in the film review. He just makes such good decisions all the time. He always know where his strong hand is. He understands like the flow, and like sometimes he's making the set because like, hey, this is the right decision. This is where I'm going to get the one-on-one. This is where I'm going to get the gap. This is how we're going to run that offense. And sometimes it's just, hey, I'm just going to chuck it up for you and let you go because I need you. I know I need to get you a swing right now to keep you engaged and keep you going. He was phenomenal in that.
And then in scramble situations, the set that needs to be made, he makes it. He doesn't do too much. He doesn't go insane. He locates a good high ball and trusts his systems, which Trentino's are outstanding, to make good decisions in high balls. And that's like, as much as we both have liked watching Mattia Boninfante set this year, and I hope he gets a lot more opportunities, namely this summer, which is another conversation.
Yeah, right. Come on.
Another conversation. One thing that I don't see from Ljubic Ivanova is a legitimate threat down the middle. I really don't think they have or are capable of establishing a whole lot of middle attack offense. And it kind of reminds me of when Paolo Porro was first starting setting for Milano. That first year, like when Losera was there, the last thing, like in addition to Porro not being able to set Patry on the right side, which we made a lot of memes about, kind of the last thing that Porro was able to develop is a legitimately like dynamic and varied middle attack situation. And I just don't think Boniface is there yet, and that's okay, but it is going to cost them in this series, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that this season is starting to catch up to Boniface a little bit. Like he's starting to look tired. He's not having the same energy. He's not having the same pop he is from the baseline. He makes some questionable decisions down the stretch. And I mean, I think we have to give him so much credit for what he's done this year and how he's led this team and what he's done over the course of it. But right now, there's no doubt about it who's winning the center battle right now. And honestly, after serving, I think the biggest thing of why Trentino is up 2-0 right now is the play of Spertoli versus Boniface.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. So match number 4, is tomorrow. It's in Civitanova Marche. It will come down to Lube from the baseline and just how magical they can be at home, where they have been incredible all year, if they can do it one more time in front of the home fans. But it is possible, Everett, that tomorrow afternoon we'll award the league titles in the 2 biggest leagues on the planet. So
yeah, it is. And both those matches are going down at the same
time.
Volleyball. Yeah.
Yes.
So
great.
We'll do a watch. I'll do a watch along for that though.
For both of them.
Yeah, we'll double it up at the same time.
I like it. In other news, congratulations to Perugia. They took care of Piacenza 2-0 in the 3rd place series. So Perugia does in fact qualify for next year's Champions League. Match number 2 was a pretty gnarly 5-setter. I mean, it went 20-18 in the 5th over Piacenza. So good for them for whatever it's worth. And Perugia,
I mean, it's worth a lot.
It's worth it's
Champions
worth it.
League.
They get to play Champions League again.
It's worth Champions League. That's huge. That's massive.
I think kind of the right team won there, because a lot of Piacenza's team is going to look very, very different for next year. So I think it will be a better representation for Italy for next year. But Perugia also has this year's Champions League to worry about. They'll play Halkbank a week from Thursday. No, a week from Friday. Sorry.
Yes.
I really the Champions League schedule drives me nuts, because the 2 semis are on 2 different days. The Polish semi is on Saturday and the Halkbank Perugia game is on Friday. I really don't agree with that. Yeah.
I will also not be around for the Champions League finals.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm going camping.
All right.
So yeah, I'm just gonna go do something else instead.
Well, maybe it'll be as boring as the women's one was, or maybe it won't. Maybe it'll be amazing.
I hope not.
Yeah,
I really hope not.
Only one way to find out. All right, one match of volleyball from this week that was not boring was the SV League finals. This was ridiculous. This was the one source of drama, like legitimately amazing on-court drama all weekend long. Congratulations to the Suntory Sunbirds on they're calling them the inaugural SV League champions, as the league is kind of rebranded and expanded, but they won the league title this year. Congratulations to them. The match number 1 over the JTech Stings, that reverse sweep, down 2-0, 26-24, 32-30, 26-24 in the 5th in match number 1 of a championship series was unbelievable. Then they took care of it with a 3-dong in match number 2. Dmitry Mazursky dropped 40. 31 for 62 attempts and 8 stuff blocks and an ace. That's completely insane from the big man.
Honestly, Rob, this is a match that after watching the highlights, I actually want to go back and watch, because it looked like an absolute slugfest.
It was insane. I watched all the highlights as well.
JTech on the other side only made 6 errors, right? They only made 6 errors. Of course, Osaka, like Suntory, had 18 blocks, but if you look at like Mio Ora had 25 kills. DJ had 19 kills. Same thing with Lucarelli, 19. You had all 3 of their outside scoring over 20 points for JTech. Like this one has to be an all-timer. It was phenomenal. And you can just tell the vibe even when you watch the highlights.
Absolutely. That talk about like showing out and putting on a great product on your league's biggest stage. I mean, this was it for sure, at least in match number 1. So really, really good. It wasn't even that like Ron Takahashi and Alexander Slivka weren't awesome in match number 1, but Ran was really good in match number 2. 15 for 21 with no errors to help seal the deal in a 3-dong. So I'm sure that was good to see if you're a Japanese fan. But What's your take overall, Everett, on kind of the first year of the SV League turning a corner into being just trying much, much harder and with more intention to be one of the best leagues on the planet?
I think it's a huge success. I think when you look at the relevancy in the of the league in terms of like the global sphere of volleyball, like before it was always an afterthought, and here we are talking about it. We've talked about it. Like if SV League was in our time zone, we'd watch it way more.
No question.
The biggest hurdle for us watching SV League is the fact that you and I are usually drunk when it's happening. So that's like that is a big issue and all that. And then also it's just how much more volleyball can we actually physically watch? But when you look at, I think that there's a few factors within this, just in terms of even a few years ago, we were like, whatever, it's the Japanese league. Like, it's washed up guys and guys who want to just, coast out. But now when you look at the talent that they're bringing in, I think first and foremost is that in general, the level of Japanese volleyball has risen, right? It's way better. Like 10 years ago, if we played Japan, I would write it on my calendar 3-0 before we even started, because I knew that they wouldn't even and this was when Canada wasn't even good, right? This was before Canada was making the Olympics. I was like, yo, we can beat Japan. Like we can beat any of these Asian teams. It's not an issue whatsoever. And that's actually how we qualified for the Olympics in 2016. We lost to Cuba at home in Edmonton and failed to qualify at home. And then we went in an absolute tear and beat up on Korea, China, Japan, and Australia to be able to qualify for the Olympics. But now the quality of Japanese volleyball in general is exceedingly better. And you're adding more foreigner spots so that you can just raise the level. And, there's so many things happening. I think them being on VBTV is a huge thing. And I can absolutely tell you that no one did jump numbers like the Japanese men's SV League, right? Like no one does numbers like the Japanese league does. Like the numbers are absolutely phenomenal for the SV League. And yeah, I think in terms of brand, I think in terms of relevancy, I think in terms of the quality of the competition and how exciting it was, I think this was a full-on win for the SV League. But the big thing is how do you build on this? And I know they have a plan. Like I've read it. I've seen that breakdown. And, in the future, they're going to be adding potentially more foreigner spots. They're forcing teams to move into bigger facilities. They're going to be forcing a minimum spend as well too. So there's going to be moves for sure. And I 100% want to see the SV League teams at the Club World Championships. Like that to me is fucking interesting. I want to see Suntory there. I want to see them. I think that would, I think they compete. I think last year they went and competed. I think they would be able to do so again. So yeah, I think to me, finally, that the Japanese SV League is a viable product, right? In the strongest volleyball market in the world, as who knows what's happening in Brazil and elsewhere and stuff like that. What has been happening in Japan is one of the best things that's happening in volleyball right now.
Agreed. It's awesome. It's fun to watch. That flavor of volleyball is just so different than what we see in Europe or in the Western Hemisphere. And the product is good. Their business model seems to be aligned and moving in the right direction. And the numbers on VBTV are pretty insane. And clearly they market to a part of the world that just can't get enough of watching their games. So good for them. But also too, like the SV League is one of the biggest products everywhere, right? Like especially in North America, people watch the SV League. It's well known. So yeah, I think everything is looking like, and honestly, like their broadcasts are up there with the Polish broadcasts. Like they're good.
Some of those gyms that they have are real nice, and they look good. The vibes are good.
It comes across like they are polished and modern, and they have resources, which is kind of the opposite of how Italy comes across on broadcasts, because everything's so run by boomers. I will just point out one thing too, is that I think that the style of ball that they play is really enticing. For sure. Right?
Really fast. It's defense heavy. It's really precision. Like it's really technical and has a lot of precision to it. Like I think it's a really exciting style of volleyball.
Agreed. Been fun to watch. They need to play less regular season matches. That's my one complaint.
That is wild. The 44-46 match. Yeah, regular season is crazy. And then they just ran through their playoffs, right? Their regular season went way longer, and their playoffs started a lot less time, and then now they're already done.
Yeah, I think that's something they got to think about with how it affects their athletes and how it affects like their ability to market their games nationally and put some butts in seats. But that they're doing well at all those things already. So
Yeah.
a lot of good stuff going on in the SV League. Another champion to crown and acknowledge. Congratulations to the Berlin Recycling Volleys.
Berlin.
For the ninth time in a row, Berlin has won the Bundesliga. You can really set your calendar to this one. I was really hoping that that final against Lüneburg would have been better, but it was not. 3-0, 3-1, 3-0.
It shouldn't be, right? If Lüneburg is out there competing with Berlin, there's issues at Berlin with the budgets that these two teams have.
True.
That's just the reality of it. To me, like I know a few years ago, pre-COVID, there was a talk about Berlin potentially joining the PlusLiga. And this was before the PlusLiga was what it was now. Imagine if they did now. I think it might actually be a good product. It may actually be like there's two sides of it. Obviously, you'll lose like a team in that market.
Yeah, I think it would kill the Bundesliga if they did that.
It would kill the Bundesliga in certain ways, but also allow way more open competition within the Bundesliga. So yeah, it's a tough one, but just complete domination. I mean, on the other hand, congrats for Lüneburg for making it there for the first time.
Agreed.
Like they've started investing in that club, but it's tough when you're in a small town like Lüneburg.
Yeah, it's a David versus Goliath thing in terms of budget and resources, and Berlin is Berlin, and this is what they do, and they have done it again, and they deserve it, and they will play Champions League again next year like they always do. So will Lüneburg, and they might even get a third team in like they have the last couple of years. But also Jake Haynes, big boy, MVP of the league. Jake Haynes, MVP of a somewhat major European league. Who would have thought? He played great.
Once again,
he played great every time.
Jake Haynes is a guaranteed 20 bucket to me. Like he's going to go out and put up 20 for you on the regular. So there's that. Also, Lüneburg's official population is 76,837,000. And then with their surrounding population, they have about 103,000
in the whole metro area. But then what is Berlin?
Metro.
Yeah, quote unquote metro. And Berlin, what do they got? Multiple millions.
Berlin has blocks that has more. Like Berlin has city blocks. Like Berlin's population is 3.78 million.
Yeah.
But if you consider the entire Berlin-Brandenburg capital region, it's 6.2.
Did somebody in the chat just say Haynes is better than Anderson? My God, what are you people talking about? I'm not going to get into that one. It is almost national team season, Everett. And on the North American subject, the PVF finals are this week. So it'll be the end of the women's club season over here in the States. Final standings of the league up on screen. Omaha will take on Indy in one semifinal. These are, is it Friday? Yes, this Friday evening, North American time. Then number 2, Atlanta will take on number 3, Orlando. The final will be on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Everett, who's your pick? Does Omaha hold the 1 seed?
Here's the deal. Last year we saw the exact same thing, or something similar. I'm pretty sure Atlanta won the regular season, and then lost in the playoffs to Grand Rapids, if I remember correctly. And then Grand Rapids beat Omaha in the finals.
Atlanta lost to Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids got swept by Omaha in the final.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Omaha won, but Atlanta was the 1 seed, or what was one of the best of the year.
So I am ultimately, I think Omaha is the best team in the league, but I think their matchup against Indy is going to be really interesting. And we could potentially see a same thing where we see that 4 seed upset number 1. But I do think that Omaha in general is just a better run team and is going to be able to take it out.
I've got Indy. I picked him preseason. I don't know if Lekator member Monet is playing, but if she is, I've got Indy on the upset and on the stunner in their first season. I hope to take it home.
Yeah. Okay. Great. I guess we'll see what happens.
I guess we will. Last but not least, the men's NCAA tournament. We had one match over the weekend. We previewed a decent amount of this bracket on last week's show. Talked a lot about NCAA on last week's show. Penn State did go to Damon in Western New York, beat them 3-0 to advance to the quarterfinal round. So now we got a proper 8-team bracket the rest of the way. All 4 quarterfinals are on this Thursday. Both semifinals are on Saturday. And then the final is on Monday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern on Monday. So all that will be happening before our next show. I think we already put our picks on the record, Everett, but I'm sticking with Long Beach over UCLA in the final.
Yeah, I think I have that too, right?
I can't remember if you picked UCLA or Hawaii, but we had a lot of angry Hawaii fans last week's show.
Oh, get over yourselves, bud. Get over yourselves for sure. No, I definitely picked Long Beach. Like, it would be crazy not to pick Long Beach.
Oh yeah, I agree. They have the best player. They have the most depth.
I don't think I picked, to be honest.
I don't remember what we did, but so every year it kind of changes where they stream these games or what the broadcast situation is. I mean, I commentated a bunch of these games last year. This year, didn't hear a thing. The games are in Columbus. They're on ESPN Plus, which is a bummer. Last year they were free on the NCAA's website, but they will be on national TV on Monday night for the final on ESPN2. If you are in the United States, you need to watch these games legally. It is really important that you pay for 1 month of ESPN Plus, watch these 6 games legally, and then watch it on TV on Monday, and then you can cancel your subscription.
And tweet out that you're watching it too.
It's very, very important that we capitalize on this event in this country. We talked about it last week with GCU killing their program. There's a lot that seemed to be going on about that, but if we don't capitalize on what we do have, the administrations that have all these teams will look at the pinnacle of the sport, which is this event, and not see any reason to keep throwing resources at it. And in a way, I can't really blame them. If all of us are not willing to spend $9 to watch 6 of the most important volleyball games of the year, like why would an athletic department administrator sponsor a team? We got to be better as American volleyball fans, and it starts with this event. We have to watch this event. We have to watch it legally. We have to support it. We have to tell everybody we know to watch it. I want all of you to get out to your cities and go watch these games, different places on Saturday. Get everybody you know together on next Monday night to watch these games. I'm doing that in Chicago. It's important.
No, don't watch it individually at home so the numbers are better.
Then turn it on your TV at home and then go watch it with all your friends. Like, go watch it in public. Get non-volleyball people to watch it. Tell people why this matters. Like, this is a big deal. This is all we have. Everything going on right now, we have to be good as a community around this event. We need to watch this.
Yeah, 100%. Go there, support it. I can't watch it legally, so I'm going to watch it illegally.
If you can't watch it legally, then do what you got to do. If you are in the United States, pay 1 month for the subscription, then cancel it.
Yeah,
it's worth it, and it makes a difference.
Yep. All right, Rob, is that everything?
Yes, sir.
Alrighty.
Let's get out of here. Everett, your thoughts on the NHL playoffs? I'm sorry about your Senators, but how about that Winnipeg Jets comeback? Oh my God.
So yeah, 2 things about that. First and foremost, if you had told me in November that the Sens were going to make the playoffs, I would have been ecstatic. I think the way that we played was really good. Other than we were too emotional in game number 1, then we won 3 overtime games after that, lost 2-1. So that was fantastic for my Sens. Can't wait to see what's next. I think that we're building something. I think this is going to be the only time we lose to the Leafs. Fuck them.
I hope so.
Number 2, many people don't know this, but I was actually born in Winnipeg, and there's pictures of me as a child at Save the Jets rallies as a kid. So Winnipeg is my default number 2 always, and you bet your ass they're the next team that I was cheering for. Thought they were down 3-1 with like a minute 30 left to go in the last game. That last minute goal, 1.6 seconds left.
Unbelievable, dude.
All time. The only last minute goal that I remember better than that is the Eberle goal with 5.3 seconds left to go when Canada beat Russia in the semifinals of the 2009 World Juniors. And that one is more memorable because I was at the game. So whenever I see it, it's goosebumps. But that one was, and what made it even better too is that actually watched like I got the update on my phone being like Jets and like whatever, like Jets trail the Blues, and I was like, shit. So I turned it on. And I was like, and then they made it happen, and I was like, let's go. And yeah, it's good shit. Good shit. Loved it.
Awesome. The NHL playoffs are so good.
Yeah.
So good. 2 more games tonight. I'm definitely gonna be watching them. Tomorrow is a massive day of volleyball. PlusLiga match 3, SuperLega match 4 at the same time, 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Everett will be doing a watch along. Make sure you join the Volleyball Source Discord. The link is in the description. That's very important. We're winding down club season, boys and girls. National team rosters are starting to come out. We're not going to talk about those until like our VNL preview, but we might do like another little casual stream where we start to talk about those things and get the table set for national team season. But it's happening. It's happening, and you're in the right place. So stick around, join the Discord. We'll see you in there.
Peace.